Welcome back, everybody. What's going on?
What's happening? Thanks for listening and tuning into Podcast and Chill, the show, the greatest show you've never heard.
Until now. Christopher Bernard.
Yo, Quinto.
Back at ya. What's going on? And this is part of the quarantine playlist. I made a playlist on YouTube.
That's incredible.
We've been doing this, and actually, interestingly enough, we're at 8 weeks, and like you were saying, it feels longer, doesn't it?
It does. It feels so much longer here in isolation, social distancing. Now, here's the thing. I thought about this.
Okay.
Social distancing gone too far. There's going to have to be therapy sessions.
Yeah.
For this, when people have isolated themselves to the point where they've lost friends and family.
Yes, that's right. You become closer to the inner, what do they go? Next of kin relatives, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to do this backwards. I was going to put the negative effects of being off for such a long time, but we're now hearing, the mental anguish, the depression that sets in by being home too often, right? Like it's interesting. We're seeing we as humans, our nature is like, we're going to complain. Like Canadians, it's too hot in the summer, then it's too cold in the winter. Like it never happened, right? Like I work too much. I don't have work-life balance. Now it's like I'm home too much. I can't wait to
That's right, dude.
That's right. I'm hearing other information about, like the masks, it depends on which way you want to. Okay, being cautious, putting it on, you don't inhale. But then they say, okay, having surgical masks and things like that are to prevent doctors and nurses from infecting open wounds of the patient.
Right.
But now the discussion is the restriction of oxygen when you are wearing it. And I have to admit, like I went to the grocery store this morning, I have masks now, and I was going to put it on, and I'm like, I can't even breathe in this. I'm like, the hell with it. That's it. So, but yeah, you have to choose what you believe in all this, and
go with it.
Are you wearing masks?
Mostly for style. Listen. I don't see, like, I get the mask. I get it. But I don't, if I'm supposed to get it, or I'm going to get COVID, I'm going to get it whether or not I have a mask. Just the situation warrants that. I don't think the mask is the make or break. So,
okay, there we go. I think that was the point. Yeah.
I figure I'll just wear it for style. Like I feel like a ninja today. I'm going to put it on and be a ninja. If I don't feel like a ninja, I'm not going to wear it and take the risk.
There it is.
That's how I feel.
I mean, like, begs the question, like, where did people get all these masks? Like, they're sold out everywhere. And where are they being supplied from?
I know. It's kind of, and it's weird to see people in their cars driving with.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Why are you wearing it in your car when you're by yourself?
With the gloves, I feel like they're either going to commit a crime or just came back from committing one. I'm like, wow, I don't think people kind of foresaw that coming. Like now, people have to be comfortable with people in that. Like you're just forced now to be comfortable with that. Like, okay, yeah, okay.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe with it, and I'm like, yeah. Okay, let's go through some of the key points that. You hear some rumblings and conspiracy theories. Now, the term conspiracy theory was coined, the phrase was coined after the assassination of JFK. And I understand that the CIA was the ones who created and coined the phrase so that anybody that came up with an ulterior story against the official story, hence someone come up with a conspiracy theory, it would make them look crazy. And that was to serve that purpose, so that basically the general public would just shut you down for having any thoughts other than the official story. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, that's
cool. That's carrying on until today. And I'm like, are we that dense that just because someone has a different take on something, they're conspiracy nuts or conspiracy theorists. I'm like, I've always said that we have to give consideration to, we should give consideration to all things or most things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when has one story ever been sort of good enough for anybody? Mm-hmm. There's always different perspectives of a story, and people with this day and age definitely are involved in many stories. So
yeah.
I think the conspiracy label, I didn't know that. That's really cool, actually. It's like, just to kind of...
It's a CIA created term, just like probably World Health Organization maybe created social distancing and whatever the phrases is, self-isolation, quarantine, the key words.
Yes. All buzzwords that meant nothing, really.
Hashtags, right?
All hashtags.
Have you ever heard the term, there's three sides to every story?
Yes.
Right? So...
Yes. Okay, so we're still touching on, okay.
Yeah, I have some.
Okay.
I might as well bring them up and you give me your commentary. There had been commentary that some doctors had said that they're not understanding what the testing is bringing back, because what they're seeing in some patients are the lungs look like the lungs of someone who would have expired had they gone into a low oxygen, like higher climate, high altitude. Like supposing someone climbed like Mount Everest and they had no oxygen supply, right. What that would do to your lungs. So people who are suffering, they're saying that they're getting testing and it looks like that, and they're having trouble to what to make results and how that's being accomplished, or with whatever, if it is the virus or what have you. Dr. Anthony Fauci, there was a Valuetainment interview with Patrick Bet-David, and I'll get the lady's name. She's basically a worker. She's doing testing for various things from HIV to cancer, and she basically exposed Fauci, who's the head surgeon, head physician in the United States and aide to President Trump. But there is a story that's out that he had funded a project because essentially there's legislation in place that you cannot manipulate viruses in the United States. So what Dr. Fauci had done is sent money and funding to the labs in Wuhan, in China, $1.7 billion in funding, something like that. And there were a couple of arrests of Chinese workers in the United States working. One, I believe, was at Harvard. The other one was the University of Boston. And they were actually, not only was this one arrested, a Chinese worker, she was a doctor, but she was also a military, she also served in the Chinese military.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, so again, these are, I'm just fueling or just, it's hearsay information about Fauci and the connection between Dr. Fauci and the World Health Organization. And also that they say that the biggest contributors to the World Health Organization funding begins with Bill Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Wow. Okay.
So do you give any credence to that? Have you heard any of that? And what are your thoughts?
I've heard a little bit about that. It's
it's so hard to connect those dots.
Well, not as hard as you think. It depends how you think about. Again, like viruses have a function. Just because science at large typically just tries to find vaccines to fight against viruses. Viruses have a function and they exist for a specific purpose. It's just not anything to our benefit, let's say.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that because we don't really understand. It's kind of like, I was watching Jeff Jim Gaffigan? He's talking about the appendix.
Yeah, comedian. Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about like science doesn't really know what the appendix is for. It's like remove it. That's our answer. It's like, well, we don't know. Yeah, you have it, but we're just going to remove it because you can function without it. It's like, well, what the hell, right? And it's kind of the same thing with the virus. It's like, yeah, it's a nuisance to everybody, and nobody really gets. Well, people get sick, and nobody really knows how to use it other than bio warfare, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So if we're like, this virus has done so many bad things, which it has allowed opportunities for other things to happen, right? So if we talk about systems of economy, different systems in place, working as a system, as a, whatever, virus enters that system and things change. So from the concept of creating change, nature's got to find a way to create change, whether it's pandemic, what have you. Change is the only concept that has to happen.
Yeah.
Like, if this is a pandemic, I think the big thing is that people are upset because they're being fooled into accepting change. I think that's ultimately, if this is a pandemic, that's the stinger. It's like, well, best case scenario is that the virus was real, a lot of people died, and nobody is trying to benefit from this thing. Worst case scenario is the opposite. This was all planned. A lot of people died, and now we're in this new world order. So it's But my point is, in order to incite much needed change in a broken system or broken systems, how best does one go about it, or does a nation or does a world go about creating or causing change to systems that are broken?
Right.
Roundabout way of saying, my personal opinion is that sure, it's a pandemic, but I don't need to be upset about it.
That's it. Yeah. You don't know how many speakers I've heard now talk about the stages of grief, the acceptance. Like when we covered that like weeks ago now. Right?
We moved past it.
It's amazing how many people like are sharing the same message. Actually, surprisingly, like they talk about each stage, and those who are the thought leaders and the motivators they're like, okay, get to acceptance as quickly as possible. Like you said, okay, you believe what you believe, but you shouldn't, don't spend all your time contemplating on it. I mean, be, a problem solver, take it on head on, and then continue with life in the new way that.
That's right. Adapt and change.
Yeah, exactly. For lack of better terms.
Yes, and I think one of the biggest hurdles is when things are good and there's social justice warriors and activists fighting. Sidebar, what I really appreciate is those people are impacted by social distancing, so they can't get their message across. Which is really, I think that's ironic. I think
the irony is here: the people protesting are the non-social.
It's like, damn. Well, you can't get your message. You got to find a new way to get that message across. You can't just come up to people in the streets. I lost my point.
No. Because you're not going to win that on a Twitter war. Not everything goes viral, so to speak, right? No pun intended. But it's interesting. So someone that was making news and has been outspoken on getting people back to work was Elon Musk.
Yes.
And then you hear stories coupled up with that, like he's selling all his real estate. He owns 7 homes across the country. Most of them are for sale or have sold. And then I hear that he's one of the ones who has the contracts for thousands and thousands of installations of 5G towers.
Yes.
Like, okay, he's on one hand, he's saying everybody get back to work. On another hand, he's depending on what you believe about 5G, he's one of the main players in getting that up and running.
That's right. And the irony, I always like to point it out, is the amount of jobs that he will be creating, which will be necessary to rebuild the economy. It's like, this is the way of the future. We're going to these 5G towers, whether you like it or not. This thing is actually creating jobs, which is going to stimulate that economy. So you got to take the good with the bad. It's like, yeah, it's, if you are of the belief that, he's one of those nefarious people in control and, puppet master and puppet strings, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They're like, well,
it's a mixed message.
He's creating jobs.
But he's creating, yeah, exactly.
He's stimulating the economy, so, and that's what you want, is it not? Right? It's that you can't just have all the, sugar and spice and everything nice.
So we can tell Elon Musk as a futurist, and let's go ahead and start our segment on predicting the future.
Yes.
With respect to, okay, what's going to change and what's going to be eliminated altogether. So, actually, I just want to bring this. I've seen already in Asia, they're showing how eating at restaurants, they're going to have do you remember the science fair when you have those cardboard, what do they call those?
The construction boards, the Bristol board.
Yeah. So they would have a table, and it would be like the voting.
The voting booth.
Yeah, with the cardboard separating 4 spaces of the table into 4 squares. So you're all at the same table, but you have these barriers all in front of you and between you. And it was the strangest thing, to see people you want to eat so badly, but you're so, you can't see your neighbor, you can't see the guy in front, and you certainly can't see anyone diagonally.
Wow.
That would be such an uncomfortable setting.
That is. That's not
that you want to stare the guy in the face either, but there are there's just obviously there's communities where they're so busy, and some restaurants are so busy, and it's high turnover, it's quick lunches.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because I find strange, because I take note. We have our bit about it. The glass registers now, the pods. Some of them are improving, some of them are makeshift, it's just the cheapest stuff, right?
And you still end up touching the cashier some way to get...
Yeah, the receipt,
Exactly.
Oh, why'd you touch my hand on that?
I think there'll be definitely a lot more self-checkout options.
Yeah, I've been doing that actually lately, and the funny thing is when you have a barrier, even though it's clear, you feel like they're not going to hear you. So, like I said, you always end up going on the side. And you're like, wait, you're not going to hear me. So we're going to see that everywhere.
Yes, yeah. A lot of social distancing faux pas will be happening.
Yeah, they're going to cross the line. There's a local food chain, grocery store chain. I understand. I'd heard that they're making masks mandatory to shop there now.
Correct. Yes, for the.
Will they provide them to you if you don't have one?
I believe that is what the protocol is. You get offered a mask, and then if you refuse, you are refused entry. And I believe they're also taking temperatures of the people as they enter.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so there it is. That's a future, we have that temp gun for our son, and you probably do, because the other ones are unpleasant for kids. So they do that temp gun.
Yeah, at the door. We got somebody standing at the door.
I Am Legend.
Oh, that's
when he's taking his wife and his daughter.
That's right. Oh, wow.
everyone's at the bridge and they're trying to get over out of Manhattan kind of thing. And
Yes,
actually, it made the wrong read on his wife.
that's right.
Do it again. Will Smith's like, do it again. And like, it works because it's Will Smith, you know? Because these temp guns are wrong, right?
Oh, so
They have that at
you'll rise in that.
they have that in stores? Like, at the grocery stores?
At the grocery stores. That I think we'll see more of that. I think we'll see more of the checkpoints.
Yeah. I know they do it at the hospital.
Yes.
Oh, crazy. Okay. They were saying domestic travel would be the first to open up. I don't think so. I think your hotels. It's interesting. I got involved in always looking at different investment platforms, and Airbnb. Really interesting concept here. So what someone will do is, without owning a property, they will go to the owner who wishes to rent their property out on a long-term basis. An individual will rent that property from the owner for the whole year, and then they will sublet or Airbnb the rest. They won't actually move in themselves, but they'll secure the property so they can Airbnb it.
Wow.
The landlord isn't willing to do that. They just want to do one long-term thing. They'll still get permission. They'll still pay the insurance, etc. But they're basically getting permission to sublet the rental.
Wow.
And that's a way for that person, that middleman, to not own a property but still make money on short-term rentals, because they're going to charge more for those shorter stays, which will more than pay for the monthly rent, and then they'll just try to rent it as much as possible. So I think a business model like that is just gone now.
Wow, that is incredible.
Unless people trust Airbnb over hotels, but your short-term rentals and hotels, they're going to suffer in the short run. And I don't think there's not going to be long travel, and I doubt there's going to be much domestic travel.
Yes, and I think actually, when do you think hotel travel, air travel will open up again? How long before that does?
Travel. Wow. Okay. So first, second, third phase. I don't think, wow. Okay. If we do the first phase for the summer, then I fully anticipate we're going to have a second wave. Then we'll have to do first, second wave, fall of next year.
Wow.
Because I had heard no large gatherings until fall of 2021.
Really?
Concerts, presentations, sporting events.
Wow. So that's basically a 2-year hiatus for sporting events and large.
Mm-hmm. I suppose it has to do with like the vaccine, like how long it would take to have a vaccine.
That is very interesting.
A viable vaccine in place. So let's say give it like a year and a half. So that pretty much puts you in the fall of 2021. So that's why I think there's hope. The change in weather is helping people's moods, and what I understand is they were waiting for 2 weeks straight of steady decline before they can introduce phase one.
Oh, I see. And that has not been the case yet.
I think maybe we're a week to a week and a half into it. So I guess in the next week or two, probably we're going to see a rollout of more and more, right? Premier Doug Ford said to retailers, get ready. He didn't say a date, but he's saying, okay, it's coming. So that has to be a couple weeks away.
Interesting. Now, do you think people will remember how to act when they're in public, or will that?
I'm not hopeful in that sense. I think everyone will go to full bore, back to normal. But don't you? It's just human nature, right?
Yes, when you take off the restrictions, it's just kind of everything goes out the window.
Yeah, because we hate that. We hate, it's all about that. This is where it reinforces, money is not number one. Health and freedom are up there as number ones, right? you don't want to be told you can't shake hands, hug, you can't visit your relatives. You don't want to be told like can't pass people in an aisleway. Like it's annoying enough that like retailers expect you to go one way only on certain aisles and then like back like we can't even do that. So I have no faith that when they do like say everybody back, like everyone, I feel like most people are just going to go back to like the completely the normal, like the way it was.
I don't know if you remember Valdi's.
Yeah, I remember
one-way shopping. You when you entered,
had to because they had the rails, right?
they did. The aisles were so narrow. It was so cool. I remember that.
That was like your Costco before Costco, right?
That's right. That was yes.
Even there.
But yeah, I think you're right. When sort of the pressure is eased off and people are allowed to have some more freedom, they'll take a lot more than what was given, and I think that could be a backslide for sure. I think we'll see, these graphs that they have, the spike, the dips, and the whatever. You'll just see this rise and just people's aggression because, as you've noticed, a lot of people are going through these stages of grief, and without properly coming out of these things, you release them back into the wild. And somebody who's hit grief or anger, that's not going to be a warm reception.
That's it.
It's going to be because we've had 8 weeks of some people have had 8 weeks of solitude, maybe more, and it's learning how to be in people's presence again. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
With weird cardboard things all around and
glass registers.
I guess they should bring back phone booths.
Like, yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, would you go to the movies again now?
Oh, not this year.
Right? Like, here's a question. If you're a restaurant and you can only do half capacity, if you're 60 occupants, you're going to go down to 30. If you're in a movie theater, you have 200, you're going to go down to 100. Like, you severely cut revenues, and it's not like they were always getting packed houses anyway. So it's not even half of 100%. It's like it's half of whatever really they were getting before, and it's going to be less.
That's right.
And I just don't foresee the takeout methodology replacing the dine-in.
No.
You know what I mean? And then I wonder if it translates like a movie like Trolls or the other one that we covered, the Sandra Bullock movie, The Hunt. I wonder if they would make more revenues on the home sales versus ticket sales at the theater.
I think so. And I think that's part of the reason why you saw Trolls coming out at $20 to rent. Mm-hmm. Just to rent, right? Because it's like, well, we still need to be making this box office. We still need to be business as usual. Business has changed, and this is the way it's changing.
Like you don't get the drinks, you don't get the popcorn and the snacks. There's no fuel needed to drive now. The dining out before the movie, like all that gets eliminated because people are staying home.
That's right.
So, okay, even if you make it on the gate, on the ticket or the movie, like there's other businesses attached to that aren't going to thrive or they're going to.
Right. And I think with the progression of internet being technology being the society that is still connected through our technology, I think that's kind of what it's kind of the ugly side of things. It's like we've had a taste of that. We're not going back to days without internet, so we kind of have to move forward.
Right.
No matter what it looks like, and it could look ugly. It looks ugly now. It does. It's kind of because if you think about it, 20 years ago, internet was just new.
Yeah.
It was just kind of coming on the scene, and you weren't thinking about making a purchase or learning or anything like that. You know what I mean? And so, with its popularity, of course, there's going to come a time where this critical mass tipping scale happens where we have to rely on it. Like we have to, for the sake of whatever, evolution, technology. We just got to rely on this thing. but it's like the fossil fuel thing, right? How do you make the fossil fuel electric cars? How do you say no to fossil fuels and collapse that industry and build this new infrastructure? You're going to see the backlash of that play out with big businesses in corporate America, all across the world. You're going to see that, and this is the equivalent. This is what that looks like. We're seeing the dependence of online business and online presence grows. We're seeing that shift of, okay, social distancing is now a thing, whereas that has never been a thing. You know what I mean? This is that transitional, an intense transitional period to betterment, to prosperity, that sort of thing.
It's strange.
It is. It's ugly.
There's going to be a pain period of adjustment. I foresee us getting back to things in the summer. And I think the mentality is going to be like, okay, if this is going to come back, we're going to like go all out before I have to go back into isolation.
Yeah.
Longer and deeper isolation. It'll be Game of Thrones. Winter is coming, right?
Winter is coming.
But at least the isolation during winter, it's like I wasn't going to go out anyway, kind of.
That's right. Yeah.
But because this was unexpected, I think people will go nuts.
Yeah.
Whatever, enjoying summer like they haven't before. With what I forget. I'm like thinking of the word like with a vengeance, really.
Yeah, it's a good party like it's 1999.
And then if there's a second wave, then we'll see the hoarding again, the hoarding phenomenon.
Yes.
And then it'll be an angry winter, and then next spring it'll be an eruption again. Like we're gonna create cycles of unhealthiness, like good and bad, like not a steady good, like all the way through. Like we try to maintain. But it feels like it's going to be like that.
Yes, it's going to ramp up and then kind of fizzle out fast.
The vaccine.
Faster, yeah.
Until there is a vaccine, and then, okay, we go back to a year-round openness. But then by then, I think we're gonna see what gets established as far as the new norms will be.
Yes.
X's on the floor, the directions of travel in the shopping, less like the gymnasiums are opening, or when they open, they're going to have booked times to work out. So you have to book your time.
Wow. That industry is going to change completely. It has to.
Like, it's just like such communal sharing of sweat.
Yes, it's going to be.
You don't want to be healthy anymore.
We end up just like Wall-E. Earth is going to be.
No, that's right. We'll be on those. What are those things that they floated on? Almost like floaties in a pool.
Exactly. That's it. Isolated floaty pool.
I wish I could make more predictions, but what do you think would be unaffected? Like cars, what do you have to really change about your car?
I think electric cars. I think that is going to be pushed to. I mean, the focus is air quality and contaminants, contagions, that sort of thing that's in the air. Right.
So if ever there was a push, it's now to have more.
Yes, I think
electrical cars.
I'll make a bold prediction. Just one bold.
Yeah, go for it. I love it.
I see the end of paper money, the circulation of paper money.
Okay, yeah, all electronic or crypto.
Yeah, I think that is not sort of the underlying push, but a big push.
Yeah, because people don't want to have touching anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. In fact, it's a feature when you go purchase something, they want you to come with touchless currency.
Touchless currency, that's right. And it's a bit nerve-wracking, I guess, to to take that in, to take in, okay, let's say this was a pandemic.
I think you've been saying that the whole time.
I love it. I love it. I love the pandemic. And the plan was to just do away with paper money.
Right.
Like, how would you actually go about doing that?
Yeah. Good point.
A lot of people need that note that says, this is currency, this is, backed by, whatever. And it's, I got to be careful to say this in a way that's, money is a type of control, whoever controls the money. If the money is paper, tangible items, it's harder to control.
Sure. Yeah.
Mattress money. Like, who's taking mattress? I don't want your mattress money. It's filthy. It's dirty. Whatever. But if it's digital, electronic, it's easier to control.
Yeah.
Money. So
yeah.
I'm just gonna say an organization that wanted to have more control over finances would be keen to do away with paper money and switch to digital using a virus. That just makes sense to me. But the thing is, I'm okay with that.
Well, that's the thing. What my concern is, like, with our kids, like my son, we ordered some stuff. We're getting him a bed now. Okay, he's moving out of the crib, which we had converted to like a day bed.
Nice.
But like we're getting him a bed now. Okay, and he, my wife is like, she orders it online. She shows us, and to him now, the concept of money. At least we grew up with that exchange, and we knew it. We understood value by the physical activity and lesson plan. He just looks at it now like you order it online and it comes to the door. Like he doesn't understand the trade-off of time for money for material goods, and then this happens.
Right.
So, that
whole thing is changed.
Just going to take for granted what credits are, and like you just have a bank account of credits, like, and will that diminish his work ethic and his idea and understanding of it?
I would say no, because the way you've just explained it is a lot like a video game. You've got a bank account full of credits, and the way kids are socialized to play video games, they know they need to do something to earn these credits.
Okay, so that's still there.
It's still there. That model is still there. It will just look different for them. Yeah.
I wonder if it's easier to become more desensitized, though. Anyway, I feel like something gets lost when you
absolutely
make it more efficient, so to speak, like that. So.
Yes, you're going to sacrifice. Well, there's a sacrifice there.
But you could become better earners because of it, because some people that are too attached to the paper, this was very profound for me, is when it comes to money, you don't make money. I've said this to you before. Money's printed. If we need more of it, the government just prints more of it anyway. So we're not literally making it. You're exchanging something for, it's like there's a concept between earning it and physically making it.
That's right.
And I think sometimes when you have the material, you think too much of like physically getting it, as opposed to, add value, deliver this, do something important, earn it, right? Focus on that, not like trying to physically obtain it. And sometimes in our brain, it mixes those messages, and that's enough just to cloud the whole thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you just nailed it. Like, teaching that to your son is what's missing.
I hope that's enough, because I felt like there's advantages to having it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in the absence of it, you know what I mean? It might devalue, like I said, like he just thinks he can get any material good by just going on the computer. Right now, he isn't, obviously he doesn't know the concept of work and earning and that kind of thing. So I just hope that doesn't get lost. So if that's our future, then geez, try to fill up as much credit as you can for them to have in there.
Well, he's got to get really good at Fortnite or something.
Yeah, exactly. Digital mining. Stuff that's beyond me. Because I actually saw a video presentation. I think it was an interview with an economist or an expert in Bitcoin, and they're preparing for a giant spike in value. Probably along the lines of what you're saying, less trusting of the current standard against the US dollar, and the elimination of money altogether. So people are going to jump into Bitcoin because if they want to believe that, it comes from a pure non-pandemic origin, you know what I mean? So maybe it can be trusted more so than sticking to your traditional currencies.
Yeah, I think, it's not, it wouldn't be the first time.
Oh my God.
Well, it would be the first time people, have tried to do away with a monetary system, a specific
kind of paper currency.
Exactly. It's not anything new. It's just kind of okay, big picture, what could really be happening.
Yeah.
And it's just a conspiracy theory.
Groceries, Bitcoin, esports. Where's the personal interaction anymore?
Yeah. It's kind of
e-commerce, everything.
It's been on a decline. It has been on a steady decline. It has been.
In this trajectory, hasn't it?
It has been, which is sad. We
want to preserve the way things were. I mean,
that's
jumping head first into this, I can't wait. Let's do it. So
that's where I'm at. I'm okay.
So I guess that goes hand in hand with, do you believe your life will be just as good or better moving forward as it changes, or do you think it'll be worse? Right? Things will change, but will your life change with it for good or for bad? And I think that's the whether you feel like it's for you or not.
Who decides if it's good, if it's better or worse?
Only you.
That's it.
It's
gonna change. It's gonna change, but only you can decide if that changes for the better or worse.
Oh my God! Wow, we hit it. See, if you talk, Steve Martin, if you talk long enough, you find some truths, and you become more. You find an intelligence. I don't know, and hopefully you guys have listened and enjoyed that, and I think that's enough to put into your minds for thought for now. But whatever it is, like I said, it's always, you have to remain hopeful.
Yes.
Part of that mentality of always being positive and hopeful is if you decide that it's always going to be favorable to you, you'll find a way, then no change is going to impact you.
That's right.
It's hard because as humans, you still have to go through it, and you'll still feel the pains and the adjustment. So it's just super interesting. And I think there's not been a moment in history, at least, in my life, I guess I could say the same for you, really. We have not hit anything of this nature in any event that has created so much uncertainty about which way we're going.
Oh, you said it. Oh my God, you said it, brother.
Right? I can't imagine. Well, I felt some nervousness in the Great Recession of 2008, but soon afterwards, actually, there's different areas that prospered, and you knew that you could continue to back to normal.
Yes.
None of this obviously tape on the floor and stuff like that, because this one is so physical.
Yes. It plays with your mind a little differently than 2008 did. Because you knew it was happening behind the scenes, but you didn't see it going out. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's an uneasy feeling when I keep saying this. You go to a grocery store or a store now, and it's like people. You just look at each other as like, oh, do they have it, or don't come near me. It's just like the attitudes. Unfortunately, it's like we've all turned on each other in a sense during this time frame because we're so protective of our health.
Yes, yeah, it's all in the name of health, right?
Yeah, and I already found it like I say hi and I smile to a lot of people, like just naturally, because it's like, why be a dick? It's just easier to. I just feel better if I walk past someone. I don't mind saying hi to them, and now it's like even worse than before. It's like no one
You
wants.
still hold the door for anybody, or have you had to?
Yeah, I'll hold it if it like it just didn't work out. But like usually people get it, and so do you.
Yeah.
You let them just go through, and then you do it yourself now.
Yeah,
That's a good point. Like people are trying to avoid that.
yeah, like don't make
The lady today that was always like in the same path as me, and she was like trying to avoid me and go elsewhere until I was done, and then she'd kind of come in up. I'm like, relax, like but because to me, in her mind, she thinks everybody has it, and like, when is the paranoia gonna exit her body if she thinks everybody has it but her? It's
no.
like that.
That paranoia isn't leaving until a government official says so. They say so. So it's like,
And that's who you trust. I'm like, okay. I mean, anyways, you just believing what they want you to believe, and I don't know. It's like people shame you if you think, oh, the stats show it's less than the flu. Less impactful than the common flu or similar. And then it's like, are you crazy? You see how many people have died? And then you're like, and you hear reports, and someone will say like, well, they would have died anyway because you hear those stories because
you hear that all the time.
Changed, and hospitals being incentivized to put Corona instead of COVID-19 instead of the actual cause of death. And you're like, what? Are not everybody hearing this stuff? Like,
yeah. Well, I think a lot of people don't want to hear it. I mean, there's a lot going on here. There's so many levels to this thing, so many moving parts, and it's difficult for anybody to just take in all the information and still be positive about it. It's like you got to pick and choose. Well, not even pick and choose. I think it's more you decide, here's how I'm going to feel about this.
Yeah. It's interesting that the older folks are like the most untrusting to me. Like I don't see young people like our age. I don't see them being like, oh, but that's your time in life, right? Like
yes.
So
yes, and I feel bad. I feel so bad. It's like, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to live in fear. You don't. You can
people, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so terrified. Like, I think the terror is going to kill you before
anything else.
Yeah, the stress that you're bringing on yourself.
Yes, that fear. It's just like,
it's like they're doing it to themselves, and that's what they're saying. Like masks, add the anguish from being trapped in your house, and add the fact that you are forcing yourself to wear a mask and you're not breathing in oxygen. And then now you had like this point of view that you're just like a distrusting person. All those things together, like the product of that human being now is like, what kind of existence is that? And that's why I can no longer accept like the environment that really everybody's in now. It's like, okay, I'll take the risk then, because it's just not good for mental health or the physical health. And we as human beings, we just have to go back to being constructive.
And can't let the environment dictate how you're going to feel.
Yeah, you really. At some point, you have to cut that off. And I see
exactly. At some point, you've got to take control and say, "Listen, I get this situation sucks. It's a crappy situation, but I don't have to feel bad about it."
And don't take it out on other people.
Exactly. I don't have to force anybody into anything. It's just like, okay, this is what it is for me. Because I'm going to live my life, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
Accept this is where it's at.
I mean, it's funny. On one end of the scale, I feel like someone could be angry seeing me. I got no gloves and no mask, whistling Dixie, just touching everything. And then they're there and they're like angry, paranoid, covered, hands, glasses.
He yelled at you, "Why aren't you wearing your PPE? What's wrong with you?"
And actually, at Walmart, like some attendants have the full mask, like all full PPE mask and the shield and the gloves, and then others are like. And then I actually talked to an employee, and the messaging is different between managers. So,
what do you mean?
some require, some were saying that they should, some were saying that they like.
Okay.
It's like, wow. So I don't even, it's not even consistent there. And I imagine there's companies that don't want you to have any at all because they don't want to send a message that you could get it there.
That is true.
I take the risk that, okay, whatever.
Absolutely. They don't want to
screw your business away because we're.
Absolutely. And I saw, I won't say where, but I saw somebody wearing like a gas mask. I was like, whoa,
oh my gosh.
That's a little much. That's a little much. It kind of made me think, do I want to shop here?
What am I missing? Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I was like, that's a little overboard.
They're such in a difficult position. So on one hand, I'm like, I don't think you should make all your patrons wear masks. And then on the other hand, it's like, I mean, people can do what they want anyway.
Yeah, I think people will defer to do what they want in the name of health.
Full gas mask?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had to do a double, like.
Just tell me what kind of store it was.
You would be surprised, actually. I can't.
What kind of store?
It will give it. The description will give it away. Because there's only a few stores open right now, and the description of this store will give it away.
I guess that's an off the air. Oh, I hate those when people do that on podcasts and shows, but I'm going to enjoy this one.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, you're going to give it away.
I'll just it was Costco, man. It was Costco. What? I couldn't believe it.
Like a gas mask?
Yeah, it was a full on at Costco. I was like,
so if I had to speculate what his content, he listens to, like all the prepper shows. He has like dried goods. Like powdered, Tang. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We laugh, but if it gets to that, like whatever.
It's true. Yeah.
Me out already. What am I gonna do? Like, I'm gonna go the extra effort to live in that lifestyle. Like, forget it.
Exactly. It's just. It's not worth it.
And let's not overlook. It's the number one goal. It's freedom.
Freedom. That's it.
When it's taken away from you, it's that creates that uprising. Because there's not rioting, but like protesting outside of state capitals. And like it goes against all social distancing.
What? Wait, protesting who?
The individual states and the governors of each state to open and reopen.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So across the various states that refusing to open. I think California, Texas is one of the first ones to open up. Georgia's definitely the first one to open up.
Yes.
So there's a salon owner in Texas, I believe Dallas, that opened her salon and got arrested, and she's serving jail time now.
Wow.
Salon. So it's like people are just fed up, and they're going to do what they're going to do what they believe in.
Wow. That's insane.
One interesting thing, one last thing I'll add is that the state and government should not supposedly it's in at least U.S. law that they're not supposed to intervene in any kind of funeral service. Like, you're supposed to be able to have it.
Okay.
But obviously that's not allowable. So, there's different points that they're going to find special instances and cases that you're going to find that aren't covered by the law. That's people are going to not take advantage of, but they're, if it applies to them, they're going to
You're going to expect that.
carry on with it. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah, totally.
What is this world coming to?
We would have said this pandemic or whatever, right? We would have, like I said, our nature is to complain, so we would have. It's just nice if we had our full freedoms. So I think that's what we're aching to have back.
Has anyone ever complained about too much freedom?
What does that mean? Like, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I think there are. I think there are people, because they see others enjoying it in their minds as too much, and they're like, we should cut that down, cut that out. Right? Like the marijuana thing, I think. Some people are going to look at me like, well, we're just letting everybody do everything now.
Interesting. Never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to
Gun laws. Right?
Gun laws.
There's a series of guns that were removed from allowable list in Canada, and people are complaining that Prime Minister Trudeau didn't go through any kind of elected, like a process, right?
Yeah.
It was more like what they call in the States, what does Trump do all the time? Something order, executive order.
Okay.
And people will defend their rights to have firearms.
Their arms.
Right.
Constitutional right.
Right, and that's an interesting one to discuss. Like, it's not just so you can have guns. It's so you can protect yourself from tyrannical government, right? And it's interesting how many Canadians cross over the laws.
Yeah.
Or like what's American and what's Canadian, right? We don't have the amendments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're infringing my amendments.
You're not in the States.
Yeah, no. I'm in Canada.
Yeah. That's another topic for next time. What a blast, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, the always insightful, intelligent, and just incredible Neil Quinto. Thank you so much.
Mind blasting. Yeah. Thank you. The elegant, the highly sophisticated, intelligent, and dapper, handsome young man, Christopher Bernard. I like it. Keep growing it.
Yes.
Just in time for the Podcast and Chill show. Podcast and Chill podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and send us your comments, guys.
Yes, the best podcast that you have never heard until now.
And what more can you ask for?
What more can you ask for?
Good night. Love you. Take care, everybody. Until next time.
See you next time.
Be safe.